We are going to start out today by doing a card using the Fluffiest Friends because, oh my word, they're adorable. So I'm going to use this cute little cat holding a little pot of flowers. And all of the little animals have a die to cut them out. There's also this kind of cave die that the bear could sit in, or anybody could sit in. It could be a window instead of a cave. We've got a little beehive. We've got a branch with a bunch of leaves that you can stick on there. We've got a couple balloons. And then, like I said, we have dies for, actually, I guess it's not all it's most, because there's not a die for the bees and there's not a die for, the little flowers there, but all the little animals there is. Now my class, obviously, yeah, you would need the bundle to do the class. And then I'm also going to use the Basics 3D embossing folders. These are 3 different folders. We've got the kind of starfish pattern. I call this the Scritchy Scratchy, and then the polka dots. So that's another thing we're using in the class. Your class kit will include some of this delightfully eclectic designer series paper. I was really excited about this paper because there are so many patterns in this package that the ideas are just going to be endless for this bundle with this paper, because look, we have so many to choose from, so many fun patterns, so many color combinations that we could do with this. And then the fronts. And so I'm really excited to make some cards using this paper. Okay, so you get some of this paper. You get the, whoops, I need to put the paper away. You will get the Essentials Baker Twine, and then you get some of these iridescent basic jewels, basic gems. They're kind of like pearls, but they're a little bit shiny, and they color really nicely with blends. We are going to do a really cute fun fold project today using this bundle. I've got my papers here. So I have 2 pieces of Misty Moonlight. They both measure 4 by 10 and a quarter. Okay. So you have 2 pieces, 4 by 10 and a quarter. I have a 3 7/8 by 5 1/8, I think. Where's my ruler? So 3 7/8, yep, 5 1/8. And this I did run through the Scritchy Scratchy folder. This is Night of Navy. We're going to have a piece for the inside. I've already kind of stamped this, but this is 3 3/4 by 5 1/4. We have a piece of the designer series paper, this pattern here. This is 3 3/4 square. We have a 2.5 by 2.5 inch piece of white. And then I have the largest stylish shape square out of Fresh Freesia. And you will also get a little circle of crushed curry. This is a 3/4 inch circle punch. And I think I have those linked below if you're interested in a 3/4 inch circle punch. So we are going to put these things off to the side. Oh, and you'll also get some scrap white because, of course, we're going to have to stamp and die cut some animals. So, well, here's a scrap. And I have already stamped my cute little cat friend on there, so I'll put that to the side. And we are going to work on our card base pieces and then our Scritchy Scratchy piece and our designer series paper. So I have my paper trimmer here. So the 2 pieces of Misty Moonlight, again, these measure 4 by 10 1/4. And we are going to put the long side at the top of our trimmer, and we are going to score this at 5 1/2. So we're going to get that cutting blade out of the way. Whoops, are we in the frame? Yes. Okay, sorry. And we're at 5 1/2. I'm going to scooch that just a bit. And we're going to score that, okay? Then we're going to rotate this around so that the shorter end of the score line, so this section here is 5 1/2 inches, this is 4 3/4, and so this side is now on the trimmer, and we are going to put this at the 4-inch mark, and I'm going to take my scoring blade and I'm just going to make a little notch with that, okay? So you have just a little tiny scored notch there. Then we're going to come back, we're going to put the notch in our track on the trimmer, as well as the point down here at the bottom. Okay, so we have the notch in the track and the point in the track. And we're going to hold on to that nice and tight. Oh, I moved it. Okay, and we're going to score this. Okay, so we have a score line here and a score line here, and we're going to repeat that exact same thing with our other piece. So this is also going to go over to 5.5. We're going to score that. We're going to rotate it around so the short side is now into the trimmer here, 4-inch mark. And then we're going to do a little score line there. We're going to put our score tick mark and the point of our paper into the track. And then we're going to score again. So we're creating some diagonals here. Okay. There we go. Then we have our scritchy scratchy piece. I'm going to bring in a pencil and a ruler, and I am putting my ruler right here's the end, and I am going to look at my ruler and I'm going to turn this around. Again, my ruler at the top of my cardstock. And we're going to do that again at 5/8 of an inch. I'm going to put a pencil line. Now I have noticed that my pencil is kind of shiny. So I can you see that pencil mark kind of shine? So that makes it really easy to put both of these pencil lines in the track, and then we're going to cut it on the diagonal. Okay, so I've got my pencil lines in there, and I'm going to cut this. So I like to start in the middle and go up and down, and then here we go. Oh my gosh, I just cut some, what do you call it? Some glitter paper, this chunky glitter paper that we have, and I forgot to put my nice blade in. So I have kind of a crappy blade here for cutting right now, but we can just trim those off. Then this piece here, we are going to cut on the diagonal, but we're going to kind of wait a second since it's kind of a directional piece of paper. We're going to wait just a little bit until we're sure which way we want to cut it. So back to our two pieces here. The 5¼ inch sections are going to go on top of each other. Okay, so they're going to just sit right here together, therefore making our 5.5 inch long card. Okay, so we need to decide, we need to like move these pieces. So what I want is I want this section on the right hand side, I want that to score down on the right edge. Okay, I want it to fold down. This one over here, I want it to fold up and back. Does that make sense? So this one is folding, you know, at the top behind, and this one is folding at the bottom behind. Okay, that's how I want these to go. So now that I know what they're doing, I am going to finish burnishing them. So I'm folding that over and I'm making sure it's flush right here. Need a bone folder. And I'm going to burnish that down. Okay, same with this one. I know where I'm going with it. So I'm going to fold it over. I'm going to make sure it's nice and lined up with that edge. And then I am going to burnish that also. Okay. All right. So this one's folding to the back. This one's folding to the top. So this is what we have so far. So now we know that we can fold this way and this way. Okay. And again, as you're folding, make sure your things line up on the edge there. And then just burnish that. And then this one's going to come in and we're going to burnish this too. So it might seem a little confusing, but it's just really not. So now what we have is we have a card that is going to meet up like so with our score lines. Now, if it's not perfect, sometimes it's not. Like I can see that right in here, I am getting, my piece is a little bit too long. Whoops. No, maybe it's not. Let's see. We're going to try to jog them together and fold them over. Oh, no, they're fine. So there's a tiny little gap. That's totally fine. We're not going to worry about that at all. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to glue our two large pieces together. I'm going to use liquid glue for this because I want to be able to wiggle it around a little bit if I have to. And so I'm going to add some liquid glue. Now be careful with your liquid glue if you use it. Don't squirt a giant thick line on the edge here because you don't want it to squish out. So just a nice line, nice lines. And then we're going to glue these together, these two inside pieces. Okay, we're going to fold these out again just to make sure that they're going to go together. And we're just going to press that into place now. So we have all that. Okay, so this is what we have so far. Pretty cool. Now our pieces from Scritchy Scratchy are going to fit right in here behind our triangular flaps. Okay, so now we're going to add these. Again, I'm just going to use liquid glue. You can use whatever, but I find that if I emboss something, that liquid glue works good. So what I'm worried about now is I'm just worried about the top and the side so that they look even. So it looks like I have, the papers in the right spot. I have the equal distance showing on all sides. Okay, because down in here, we're not going to see that. So we don't need to be as particular about that section. Okay, so then this one is going to go here, and you can use designer series paper if you want to do that instead of doing an embossing folder. It's entirely up to you. In fact, I will have a sample in the class document that will show this same card using some of the designer series paper rather than the Scritchy Scratchy folder. Okay. So that's what we have so far. So now we can look at this piece. This is going to go here. And now we can see it's directional. So we want it to stay directional. We want this section here to be this part here. So all we have to do now is take it off, bring it into the trimmer, and then we're going to cut it in half. So I like to start with my blade in the center and pull from top to bottom. And now we can add our two pieces of directional DSP. Now, if your DSP isn't directional, then that doesn't matter. You can just cut it in half on the diagonal and slap together. No problem. Okay, so we're going to add these. Again, just try to be mindful of your area around all the edges. And we'll add this piece here. And then basically, we're done with the main design. Then you can just pick a fun focal point and stick it on there. And of course, in this particular case, we're going to be using this cute cat. Okay, so what we have is that, and then when we open it, it kind of twists. So it starts out as a portrait mode card, and then we open it, and it becomes a landscape mode card, which is why I have taken my inside layer and have it the landscape way. So all I did for this was the Fluffiest Friends stamp set doesn't come with any sentiments. So for the class, you're just going to find whatever you have in your stash for sentiments and use what you have. For me, for this card, I decided to go with the So Sincere stamp set. I kind of really like this vertical happy birthday, and I hadn't used it yet, and I thought this would be the perfect card to use it on. So I stamped it in black right on the edge, and then I used my Stampin' Blends, the colors in the paper, to just kind of go over the letters, okay? And that's all I did. Then I stamped my cute little hamster friend here, and I colored him in with some gray granite, light and dark, the dark Daffodil Delight, the light Fresh Freesia, and the light navy for the petals, okay? So what will happen is we'll have our card like this, and then our friend will open it, and there is the inside. So I'm going to go ahead and just adhere this to the inside. You can see I started with my little hamster friend there, and then I wasn't super thrilled with the placement. I needed him to be a little closer to the bottom. And again, this is not your standard 4 by 5 1/4. It's 3 3/4 by 5 1/4 because our card was 4 inches wide. So now our little cat friend, we're going to bring in our blends. The colors I just said, we've got the gray granite. So I'm going to go with the light gray granite, and I'm going to color the entire cat. So now I have the dark gray granite. So I'm going to do the little feet here. I'm going to add some dark kind of around where, you know, the stamp already has these little lines. And for me, someone who is not that great with coloring, I appreciate this very much because it's very helpful to me to use these lines to add some dimension to the card. All right, we're going to use the dark Daffodil Delight as it is the closest color to crushed curry. It looks really good. So we're going to color our little pot with some crushed curry, and I'm going to kind of do some extra crushed curry here on the edge just to give it a little dimension also. And now I know leaves on flowers are not Night of Navy, but there wasn't really any green that I thought was going to go with this, so I opted for navy. All right, so now the little kind of face piece here I'm going to do in the dark gray granite. And then I'm going to bring in my light freesia, and I'm going to just kind of a couple little pounces on the nose there. And then my dark to do the little flower here. So I'm just going to kind of, I'm just tapping this up and down. These petals are pretty small. And for me personally, I find that I have a lot better luck dotting in small areas rather than actually trying to color the small areas. I don't really have much luck coloring in small areas, so I just do some dotting. All right, so I've already die cut that. So here is our little cat friend. So now I have another one. And I also die cut from some Night of Navy, a couple of grass pieces. Grass is also something in the die set. Oh, here's my son. I already had one. Oops. That's okay. All right. So then on this little piece here, we're going to add a couple of flower images. So there is a cute little flower trio that comes in the stamp set. I'm going to do some masking just because I want only 2 flowers. Okay. So I masked off the third. And I'm going to have them be a little bit above the ground because I'm going to put the grass there. And so the grass is going to, what is the grass going to do? The grass is going to hide the base of my flowers. So I'm going to add this one also like that. And then I can color those in. Now I'm going to get rid of this piece of tape because that's what you do when you mask. You need to get rid of your tape immediately so you don't get it on your fingers because that's always a problem. All right, so we're going to come back in with the navy. I'm going to get this out of the way here. And I'm going to do the leaves. And again, I am just dotting the marker up and down. So I'm not really dropping a ton of ink. So because the space is so small, hopefully it won't bleed out of the lines by doing it this way. Now, I don't know, for some of you, you probably don't need to do that. It probably works just fine for you. But for me, it's a bit of a struggle. Okay, so then I need the yellow and the freesia. And so I'm going to do this flower freesia. Okay. And then this one over here also. And again, I'm just dotting. So I don't know if any of you struggle with using the markers and end up getting out of the lines and get frustrated, because that happens to me a lot, especially in these tiny areas. This might be a method that you should try. Just the dotting. And yeah, it does work pretty good. Okay. Now we're going to bring our little grass pieces in here and we're going to add those. We can just snip off that little section of grass, okay? Now, for the sun, quote unquote, I'm going to stick my circle kind of up here in this corner. And I'm going to take a pencil and I'm going to kind of go around it really lightly like that so that I can see where that is. So now I can like add some sun's rays with my blend here. There we go. Okay. And then I'm going to add my sun. And I'm going to come over the line, over my pencil line. Okay, so I want to make sure that I cover that up. And then we can snip off our excess sun. And then we're going to have a cute little sun up there. So our little kitty cat is outside and having a good time. Whoops, that did not work out. There we go. Okay, so we're going to add that to our little square here. I'm going to just use some glue. And then our cat friend, I'm going to add with a couple of dimensionals here. So this is actually one of the projects that you will make in my Fluffiest Friends class if you do choose to take the class. So hopefully you love this and you want to take the class. It's going to be fun. All right, so then we're going to add our fun friend here to the front. And as you can see, we're only going to put adhesive on this top triangle, I guess, if you will. Okay, so I am going to say this is the top corner. So I'm going to bring in a dimensional and I'm going to put that in the corner. I don't want to go past the halfway mark because if I do, then you'll be able to see it underneath. So I'm just going to put 4 dimensionals here. And again, so we'll stick that on. We should be good on the underneath. Yes. Okay, so that's going to go there. But before we do that, I have 2 pieces of the baker's twine. This is the gray granite color, and we're going to tie this thing closed. You don't have to if you don't want to, but it's just the presentation factor I think is cute if it's tied shut. So I have 2 16-inch-ish pieces of this twine. Okay, and I'm going to tie this in a bow. Or no, partial knot. I'm going to get it in the center. Okay. And then I'm going to bring in a little piece of Scotch tape and I'm going to tape this down because my thing is going to cover that up. Okay, so now we can take off the paper backings from the dimensionals. And then we want to center this on our paper. So I'm just trying. So basically what you're going to end up doing is the points are going to be in the diagonal thing there. Okay. So now when you open this card, check that out. So it starts as a portrait mode card and then it twists and opens and then we have a landscape card. So then to finish it off, you can, if you want. What the heck happened to all my twine? I'm having a problem here. That's got to go around. There. Like, I kind of lost it for a second there, and I was thinking, what in the world's going on? Okay, so then we could tie this like that. I like to flip it upside down to finish off the bow. Why? I don't know. It just seems to work better for me. Okay. And then we can pull the tails so that they're a little bit shorter if we need to. And then tie it tight. And we have a few little bit extra there. Okay. So then we're going to add a few of these pearls and then we are done with this card. Because I wanted to add these tiny little pearls to the centers of my flowers that you can see. Now it's done. So I hope you guys loved that. I loved making this. I had so much fun with this card. It was just amazing.